Thank you for tuning into the Into the Classroom series produced by Mental Health California, sponsored by Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative.
All right, thank you all for joining tonight. Feel free to keep checking in the chat. What's up, Abdullah, Ahmed, Sarah? Good to see you all. Thank you guys for being here. I'm real excited to get going. Just quick reminders. We want to keep this as a respectful space, right? So keep the chat respectful. If we have people speaking, make sure to be respectful as well of your peers' time today, because a lot of people come out and just, feel free to open up and share. So we want that to be, a sacred space where we can feel comfortable doing those things. We have, the surveys as well that you guys love. So keep your eyes out for those. And then the sign in will be at the end of the session as well. So just, keep your eye out for that. We're going to have a great session. I don't want to keep us sitting much longer. I'm going to pass it over to Tex so that he can give us a pod overview and, get right into the session.
Hey everyone, I'm Tex Wambui, and I'm really glad to be here with you tonight. We're opening up for you to be real about mental health, tough times, and all those in between. So no filters, no expectations, just honest conversations and genuine support. So I'll pass it on to Patrick to introduce the amazing topic we're going to have for tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Ma. I am a Brother Be Well clinical advisor, and I want to get into the topic for tonight, and it is juggling too much. So I'm sure, if I ask show of hand, how many of you feel like you're trying to keep a million things in the air all at once, right? Probably all of us. And we have things like school, work, family, friends, and just future plans. If you were to drop one thing, do you ever feel like everything would fall apart? Because if you do, you are not alone. I think so many of us are juggling more than what we ever meant to carry, and the pressure can feel like it is never ending. But we also cannot not do it. It's a double negative there because that's just how life is, and sometimes we need to carry all of that in order to achieve our goals. Tonight, we're really diving into what it really means to juggle too much and how it impacts your stress, sleep, health, and self-worth. We'll be sharing tips on what we can do when it feels like life just too heavy to handle. And in the culture, the hustle culture that we're in now, it's become more and more relevant. I'll pass it on to Justin, and let's do a little quick icebreaker.
All right, good evening, everyone. So again, my name is Justin Banks. I'm super excited. Let's just get started with the quick icebreaker. Let's just get talking. That'll help us lead into the rest of this great session. So, our icebreaker question: what is one boundary you wish you could set that will help you feel less overwhelmed? So this could be at home, at school, or at work. But what's one boundary you wish you could set that will help you feel less overwhelmed? Do you need a little space at the job, maybe from friends or relationships? Once you have that, let's drop that into the chat. Think about it for a couple seconds. It could just be one word, a quick phrase. Let's see what everyone's thinking. All right, saying give me space. Definitely. I think we all need that a little bit. Physical space, not feeling like I have to fix all my loved ones' problems. I know that's right, Michael. I feel that one for sure, for sure. Um, People just need distance, space, no touch. Absolutely. Starting to see a trend here, whether it is just distance, space. People just want time to themselves. So it looks like for most of the people on this chat, we feel like we may not have as much as that as we would like. A little me time, some self-care time. It's like the rest of the world kind of has us. And that is, in essence, juggling too much. We just feel like our hands are just stretched out in a bunch of different places. So We definitely want to kind of get to the root of that during this conversation, and hopefully provide some solutions so we can start behaving differently as we go from here. Looking at just a couple other ones, setting boundaries around when I need to get to sleep. That is very true. Getting enough sleep is definitely very important. And just having some free time, trying to have some fun or just some relaxing time to yourself. So thank you all for participating in that. Hopefully we can get to a lot of those boundaries that you all want and start seeing how we can actually create that in our daily lives. So with that being said, what we're now going to do is go to a quick video. And in this video, we're just going to talk about some of the benefits of deep breathing. Okay, just to be a quick 90-second video. We'll watch that and we'll go from there. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Jerica. I'm a therapist at hearyou.org in partnership with Brother Be Well. And today we are talking about deep breathing exercises. I want to point out that this video is not intended to treat or diagnose, but merely psychoeducation about what deep breathing exercises really are. So let's get started. First, what I'd like you to do is take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, okay? Another way to remember this is smell the flowers and blow out the candle. Deep breathing exercises have been known to reduce stress, anxiety, as well as depression. Also, it releases dopamine. I know you're probably thinking, Jerica, what is dopamine? So dopamine is actually a hormone that is released to make you feel better, and it gives you a sense of well-being, okay? Now, if you are feeling anxiety, sadness, panic attacks, anything of that nature, I just want to remind you to breathe or smell the flowers and blow out the candles, okay? Now, if you are in a medical emergency, please, please, please call 911, okay? So that's it for today. Again, my name is Jerica Gillum. I want to remind you to always, always protect your peace. Thank you for watching.
All right, y'all. That was a wonderful, wonderful exercise. I feel rejuvenated right now. And we have a poll right now after having that deep breathing exercise. Kind of just reflect on the poll will ask, when life feels like too much, what's your go-to response? It's gonna be dropped in the chat. Um, and you will see some of the responses you have available is one, I shut down and isolate. I distract myself with social media, music, TV, or games. Power through, even if it's exhausting. Try to plan or organize my time better. Reach out for help or advice. And I could definitely say, for me, I definitely choose the social media one. I usually definitely find myself distracting myself by just indulging in social media sometimes here and there. But I would like to give the chance to either Patrick or Dr. Rimty to come in here and kind of just speak on some of the responses we received. You see, 44% is that I distract myself with social media, music, TV, or games. What would y'all insight be on this?
Thank you, Tex. I think the response is based on how much skills you have to cope, right? If someone have gone to therapy before or just really good with their time management, their their response will be try to plan and organize time better. Or if someone is not quite as good at time management, but they have the willpower because they know what at the end of the tunnel, what's the goal they're going to achieve, they may just power through, even if it's exhausting. A lot of time, what we find when we find ourselves like distracted with social media, music, TV, games, those are our procrastinator. And I'm usually not one of them, but it really depends on the day because there are some days you are just doing better mentally than others. And again, all of these answers can be valid, depends on whom you talking to, and are they having a good day or a bad day. Ultimately, like when you feel overwhelmed, I would much rather like take a look at what is it that overwhelming me. It may not be like that pile of dishes in the sink. It's just one thing that is on top of another that is causing me to be overwhelmed. And it may not be what actually present in the moment. So I always try to look at the root cause. And if it's something that I can control, great, I'll control it. If not, then sometimes you just have to let go and learn how to prioritize better, because there are things that need to be done right now or tonight or tomorrow. And there's stuff like, I can do it next week, and be the procrastinator you meant to be.
Definitely. Things like isolating, powering through, even when you're drained, or just zoning out with music or social media. And honestly, I get it. For me, there have been times when pressure stacked up, and instead of asking for help, I just pushed through like nothing was wrong, but it always catches up eventually. Dr. Rimty, I'd love to hear your take on this. What stands out to you in how people are coping when they're juggling too much?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that Patrick said. What I would add is, as he said, none of the responses here, personal space, shutting down, distance, none of them are wrong. They're just different strategies that, our brain thought it would help us to feel safe, to get through the moment. And that could be, as Patrick said, powering through, distracting, shutting down. But as you said, it's at the end of the day, it's not good for us. In the long term sense, it's not good for us. While those responses are normal and all of them make sense, we also have to understand that we cannot judge our or anyone else's coping mechanism. But you also have to notice when something isn't really helping you feel better in the long run. So, see, okay, music makes me feel better. Great. But if I shut down, if I power through, is that making me feel better in the long run, or is it making me more tired, more burned out in the process? So, realizing those cues that your body is giving you is also important. Like to understand what coping mechanisms are healthy and what coping mechanisms might need some tweaking.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rimty. And thank you so much, Patrick, for sharing that insight. And just to add on to that, I guess I wish I would have seen the response of maybe hot yoga and Pilates. Those are some of the things I personally myself try to indulge in whenever I feel like I'm juggling too much. It gives me that time and space to just go and just give time to myself. So I really appreciate y'all for your insight and delving deep into that topic. Now we'll just transition. I'll pass it on to Michael to kind of lead us in this next part of the conversation. Where he will be having a discussion about a video presentation.
Thank you, Tex. Before we go ahead and get into that video, we do have a trivia question. So let's go ahead and put that in the chat. You guys know the deal. First one to get it right gets an extra $25 gift card. So once we get that in the chat, try to be fast because people get to it. Like, I don't know how Kevin answered that fast, but he put D. Amina put C. Eric put C. The question is, which artist won Album of the Year at 2024 Grammy Awards? So we'll go ahead and we'll get that correct answer in there in a minute. I'm not quite sure what it is, but we'll have one of our producers let you guys know who won. So thank you guys for that. Amina, wow, you were the actual first one to answer and you actually got it right. Congrats to you. So that's our first trivia question out of plenty more to come. Thank you guys for participating. And like Tex said, we got a video for you guys that we're about to get into, which is part 1 of Juggling Too Much.
I'd actually like to turn it over to our youth right now. And I'd like to ask, just by a show of hands, is there anyone here who has dealt with or is currently dealing with just having too much on their plate? Yep, I was right. I was going to guess that I think everyone's going to raise their hand, and we all did. And clearly, we're not alone. I'm sure there's some folks even in our audience who probably raised their hand as well. So let's go ahead and go into our slide presentation to go further in on this topic. So being overwhelmed with responsibilities, I mean, it's almost like the norm, when students have an excessive number of responsibilities on their plates, it can lead to various negative consequences. Now, research shows that high levels of stress can impair cognitive function, hinder academic performance, and negatively impact physical health. Juggling too much can also contribute to feelings of anxiety, depression, and burnout, which can force students to find other ways to manage their stress. And we're hoping that we can help them to find ways to manage their stress effectively and in a healthy manner. Let's move on to our next slide. Now, there's also huge societal and academic pressures as well. The pressure for students to do well in their studies, to secure internships, as well as the pressure to build impressive resumes, whether it's community service or other things that they want to put down. All of this can create a culture of competition and perfectionism. Additionally, there's this fear of missing out, or FOMO, as the young folks call it. And, additionally, there's the constant need to be connected through social media, which can also add to the already overwhelming responsibilities that students already face. Now, let me ask some of our youth here. I'd like to just randomly go to Monica. Monica, do you ever get FOMO, or do you ever feel a need to be connected with friends through social media? And if so, can you maybe talk to us about that?
Yeah, I have in the past. Like, I've been getting better at managing my time with my friends, like, online. But in the past, I was always, like, attached to my phone. Like, as soon as I got that notification, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to respond, because I felt like I had a duty to my phone in those notifications. Like, I can't see those numbers on my phone, because then that would give me, like, a sort of anxiety, until I realized, like, it's a little ridiculous that I'm paying that much attention to those notifications. And I started silencing the notifications, putting them on, like, sleep mode. And then I even talked to my friends, like, hey, I may, like, open it, but I won't reply right away. And that doesn't mean, like, I don't want to respond. It just means, like, right now I don't have the time. And they understood. So I think that's what helped me, just communicating to them that I'm not ignoring you. I just have other things to prioritize at the moment. And not, like, in a mean way, but just, like, like, school academics. And they understood, because they're going through the same thing.
That's good. And that's really cool that they were understanding too. That's awesome. Let me go to another one of our youth here, maybe someone who's in high school. How about you, Lucy? Any FOMO or desire to connect through social media?
I have. So a couple months ago, I deleted my last social media, and it was Be Real. But when I went into freshman year, I watched a documentary about social media and how it impacts youth. And after that day, I just deleted everything. And for a lot of time, I had like withdrawals, and I would, like, think about posting things and think about sharing my life. And, like, I had that impulsive need to, because that's what that's what I knew. And over time it just faded away. And now I don't really get FOMO from social media.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool. Wow. I mean, I know we can continue to go on and in this discussion, but I want to try to get into our conversation a little deeper. And with that, I'd like to move on to our next slide. So when it comes to cultural and familial factors, culture and family is important. And we also know that cultural and family, there are certain factors that can contribute to the juggling act that are faced by many students. Cultural expectations, family obligations, as well as financial pressures can add to the existing pressure that already, awaits many of our students. So it's important for students to recognize these factors and seek support from their families and communities through honest dialogue. And let's move on to our next slide. Now, let's talk about the snowball effect. Now, the snowball effect refers to the accumulation of stress and responsibilities over time, which can lead to a state of constant overwhelm and even burnout. As students struggle to keep up with their commitments, the snowball effect can intensify stress, intensify anxiety, and potentially increase mental distress as well. Recognizing this pattern is crucial in order to break the cycle and prioritize self-care. Now, I'd like to ask some of our other youth participants, when it comes to this snowballing effect of just really having a feeling of being overwhelmed, I'd like to ask you, Joel, have you experienced that? And if so, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced it. I think everyone here has. It's something that we all go through, and I think sometimes we don't really talk about it. And when we do feel a burnout or when we're going through a lot, it's because there's very high expectations from us. With school, with family members, with friends, and overall within ourselves. So I think it's very important to take that time to relax and prioritize self care.
Very good. And how about you, Erica? I want to make sure I get you in on here as well. Like, can you talk to me about just managing those commitments and feeling that stress? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, definitely all of us have dealt with that snowball effect differently. I think it's important that we recognize that we're going through like a snowball effect and not just like pushing our emotions or stress back, because I think a lot of people have different activities within like family, school, but then like also just like real life, dealing with like different aspects of life and such. I think it's really important that we find our way to self care and also to take breaks and not just like move from one thing to another super fast, because I think like quick transitions and just dealing with like busyness from like one part of life to another can deal with like a lot of stress and like piling up on ourselves, which eventually obviously leads to like burnout and stuff.
What are some ways that youth can maybe find? I know you kind of talked about it earlier, but what are some tips that we might be able to share with some of our young folks that they might be able to manage their multiple commitments that they're experiencing?
Yeah, thanks for asking. One of the things that we've noticed can be helpful, right, is to prioritize. So, what needs to get done today? Other stuff's still going to be there tomorrow. It can get done the next day, right? So doing those lists, right? Whether you like to do those online, on your phone, right, on your No app, or you really just want to write them down, check them off. Um, Other thing is, right, we often say like block some time off in your calendar just for you, right? Your day, your schedule. Sometimes we really need to see that, right? That you have that time blocked off for you to do things that fill up your cup, whether that is, maybe going for a walk or connecting with a friend, right? Things like that, making sure that we all have all these things to do, but that also that your cup is filled and that you're taking care of yourself. Putting things down in a calendar can definitely be helpful. Some people like the Google Calendar that you can do the colors and color code, things like that. That's your thing. Go for it. Other people are, like their planner. You really want to like scratch things out, put some stickers, whatnot, make it your own, right? I think you make it your own, there's more buy-in, right? Because you like it, so you're more likely to use it. Other things I would say too is your people, right? Your support system. Like, who are those? And make sure that we're talking to them, we're utilizing them, because they're going to notice, right? Like, oh, maybe, Susie's irritable. That's giving us a little tip, right? Hey, maybe there's a lot going on. So checking in on with your people, your friends, family, community, things like that. Those things can be helpful. Also, right, those basic things that I talked about in the beginning that are hard, not so basic, like making sure you're sleeping, you're eating, you're moving your body, right? Lots of us sit all day. School, a lot of our work can sometimes be sitting. So make sure we get up, we go outside, we get some vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important, and it'll literally shift the chemicals in your body. You're gonna feel better. So making sure we do some of those things, right? And that we're just checking in with ourselves too, like taking a moment just to be quiet and just checking in and see how are we doing.
All right, everyone. Definitely a great video. Had a lot of nuggets in there. Putting the focus on the why behind why we may be juggling so many things, but also giving us some practical solutions as well. So when we just reflect on what we just saw, some three things stood out in terms of the why. So some of the reasons why we may juggle too much, we saw that FOMO, that fear of missing out. So from our social lives, whether it's social media, we just feel like we're missing something, and that can kind of add to the pressure of us doing a lot of different things. Then one that stands out specifically for me is that culture and familiar factors into why we may juggle a lot in our lives as well. So for me, I realized that the reason I had a lot of things going on and what led to my burnout is also this trauma response. I would want to get so many things done so I didn't experience the same things that I experienced in my childhood, whether it be poverty and the experiences of poverty. So trying to run from that and that fear kind of made me juggle a lot of different things, and it still led to a burnout and eventually that snowball effect where it's just too much. No matter how hard I'm trying, it's still a lot and I still can't handle it all. So, doctor, I wanted to bring you in on this to kind of get a little more of your perspective. So, when you see the FOMO, you see the culture and familial factors, you see that snowball effect. Do any of these seem to stand out the most to you? Like people seem to deal with this particular issue the most? And then what are some other strategies that you've seen that can be effective in these areas?
Yeah, definitely. I think that what I see most is the snowball effect, where, it's just it gets to the point where the tasks are piling up, everything is piling up, and then you just don't know how to finish them all, and then the process becomes that okay, then you shut down. But then you can't shut down because it's like I have so much to do. What am I gonna do? So it's just a constant loop of okay, I have to do this, then I shut down, I have to do this, then I shut down. So it's very important to recognize, to check yourself, to see what's actually going wrong. So what we do wrong is we try to push through the discomfort. And I would not say wrong, I would say maybe we can do it differently. Instead of trying to push through it, we need to figure out what am I feeling? What does my body need? What emotion am I feeling right now? Is it stress? Is it sadness, fear, anger towards something? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Can I name where I'm feeling it? So let's say if I'm feeling stress, I can feel it in my head, I can feel it in my shoulder, in my stomach. Name the emotion, name where you're feeling it. Name your thought. What thought keeps running into my mind? What do I need right now? That is another important question. Okay, I'm feeling this. What do I need right now? And that is the self-awareness that you are going to need if we don't want to just, distract ourselves or push through ourselves. That is the foundation on which we can then build upon. So that snowball effect or that kind of issues don't happen again. That we check in with ourselves and see, what do I need? Do I need space? Do I need break? And giving us that need that we feel.
That's awesome. So it seems like what you're saying is we have to find time to practice that mindfulness. So just like everyone was saying in the icebreaker, people were talking about how they need space, need that quiet time. And it seems like in order to do that, we have to set up some form of boundaries. And it seems like whether it's myself, and I'm sure there are people on this call as well that struggle with that piece. Like I know I need some quiet time, but if the job needs something or family needs something, sometimes I will still go there rather than take the time for myself. How can I really make that boundary and keep that pretty permanent and strong so I can still take care of myself before I go out and try to handle a bunch of other things?
Yeah, definitely. So keeping that boundary, right? That's the most important question. I don't want to do this, but I have to. S- That's the feeling that we get. That's the feeling that we get. Why? Because we have conditioned our brain to think in a way that, okay, I have to do this. There's no way around. Our brain is conditioned in that kind of survival mode. If I don't do this, I'm going to get fired. If I don't do this, they're going to think, I'm not social enough. But you have to ask yourself, if I do this, what happens to me? What happens to my mind? What happens to my brain? That's the check in with ourselves. You have to check in before even setting the boundary. You have to understand that I need the boundary. We know that we need the boundary, but we don't understand that we need the boundary. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it's, knowing and feeling it are two different things. You have to feel that you need it. And after you feel that, then there are so many process. But the main thing I believe is an honest conversation. So if it's at work, I think there's too much on my plate right now. Can we maybe divide and conquer? if it's my family, if it's my social life. Again, I think that I need to focus on this. I need to prioritize my health. And if there are people that truly love you, they're going to understand and they're going to come in to support you. And that's how you build the community. Sometimes you're going to need something, they're going to come in and support you. Sometimes Justin, you may need something, and I'm going to come in and support you. You build that village, you build that community around you that lets you have your boundaries, and you build that in your professional life as well, where you can confidently say, okay, I cannot do this right now. Be it your professor, be it your boss, anyone that needs to hear this. Because when you say that I need space, I need this stuff for my mental health, more often than not, people will get it because they have been through those things themselves. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Remsey. You are definitely dropping knowledge for everybody, especially myself. So I hope that that is super beneficial for everyone on this call to really stand in taking care of yourself and standing strong in that. And also kind of facing that fear, and you'll see that people will understand if you kind of set that boundary for yourself. And just remembering, in order for you to be able to pour out water into other people's cup, you have to have water in yours too. So you got to make that time to do so. So thank you so much, Dr. Renzi. I really appreciate that. So I will give like maybe 1 minute to ask one quick question. So if anyone wants to come off of mute, feel free, or you can also put things into the chat as well. So just a question that we have. Oh, I already got dropped. Perfect. When life gets overwhelming, how do you know when it's time to take a break? What signs does your mind or your body give you? Um, I get my immune system gets really shaky and I get sick a lot when I am super duper stressed, or my mind gets foggy and I can't think straight. Stuff that is just pretty much unusual. So what happens for you all? I see it. Exhausted, overwhelmed, sleepy, headaches. I had a lot of headaches in college. Bad dreams. Definitely, definitely. Feel for irritability. Yeah, just getting just annoyed, irritable, just not want people around you, not wanting to be around people. Another person I see you, Kennedy, getting sick as well. So it seems like a lot of these things we're feeling overwhelmed is really affecting our body quite a bit. So I'm seeing a lot of physical ailments, sick. So we're finding a theme here. So we got to find a way to create those boundaries so we're not feeling so sick or just too lazy to speak. So yeah, continue to drop those in the chat.
I
Thank
get
you. For
stomach aches.
Oh, really? Stomach aches? Yep. I definitely had those too. It just gets so annoying. So sleepy, I feel that as well. So just for the sake of time, I appreciate you all dropping those things in the chat. Continue to drop them so we can find some normalcy in what we're all feeling together. But we want to drop now is the time to kind of drop the Blue Shield survey for you all to take. So that'll get dropped in a few seconds. So feel free to make sure you have that and make sure you complete that this evening as well. And we'll also make sure we have time for, I believe we have another trivia question that's going to be coming up too. There's a survey, so please click that. Definitely want to make sure you get that done. That is crucial for you all stipend. And prepare yourself for you. Seems like your favorite part is when we get to these trivia questions. So I believe we're going to have one more that's going to get dropped just in a sec. So get ready to get your answers ready. Hopefully we have a gift card on your way for the winner. Give it a few seconds here. But definitely make sure you save that link. You all are ready. Okay. Don't even know what the question was. Like, hold on. Let me go back up. All right. Which national park is known for the geysers, including Old Faithful? All right. You all are
Guys
dropping them
answering
down.
that fast. I am
So
genuinely
fast.
curious. It took me that much time to read the question. I don't know.
I think people were just like guessing immediately, but it looks like Catherine, you got the win. The answer is A, Yellowstone National Park. So thank you all for participating again. Thank you, Dr. MT. Great knowledge. I appreciate it. I want to pass it on over to Patrick.
All right. Thank you for that, Justin and Dr. Rimty. Amazing insight there and real life experience about what happened to us when we are overwhelmed. So, let's launch our poll number 2, and if our producer can post it into the poll. let's check out poll number 2. So, what's one thing that would make you feel a little bit more balanced? So, less pressure from work, better support from friends and family, know how to manage stress better, learning to say no to new responsibility, and making more time to rest, recharge, and self care. Let's see what our response is. All right. So the link for the poll is in your chat. So if everyone can click onto the chat and pull up the response. Okay. So we got some answer in. 42% of you said less pressure from school and work. I will tell you right now, sometimes that is not possible. Especially if you go into really high demand career like Dr. Rimty and myself. Medicine does not care. I mean, we do, but we don't. Like, that's just a reality. Like, you will get thrown in with the wolf and you just have to survive. So I think a more realistic expectations is actually one of the answer that have less response from you guys. That is learning how to say no to new responsibility, right? Because if you are already working and going to school and then your friends want you to volunteer for this project that they really passionate about and whatnot, and you really want to be a part of it because you want to be with your friends, but you don't have the time for it. Learning how to say no is so important. And I'm sure Dr. Rimty can chime in anytime she wants, but that's the reality. I said no to a lot of birthday parties, a lot of hiking, a lot of just get together with my friends because I have an important exam coming up and I need to focus. And I much rather prioritize with you guys, the 19% of you who answer making more time to rest, recharge, and self care. And my self care is exercising because it's important for me to have that good flow of neurochemicals, the dopamine, the serotonin, all of that come from exercising for me. Plus, really good sleep. I need at least back in the day, 6.5. Now I'm a little bit older. So it's like 7.5, 8 is ideal for me to recharge, right? And you also have better support from friends and family as one of your answer, and that is correct. But that has to also come from a place of learning how to say no. Because sometimes your friends and family will want to support you by want to be with you. And sometimes you just don't have the time to be with them. If being with your family doesn't stress you out, great, go for it. But if being with your friends and family add on to the mountain height of work that you don't have the time for, you got to think and prioritize which one is better for you, right? So that where answer number 3, knowing how to manage stress better, come in. Prioritizations is so important, especially for all of you who's in like school or in colleges. You need to know what is the most important thing that need to be done right now. For me, that's having and I use MacBook, so I have an iCalendar with every single deadline. When I was in school, I have every single deadline in my syllabus in my calendar. Because guess what? If you have 5 courses, they all have different deadline. How on earth would you keep track of all of those deadlines? There's no freaking way. No way. Right? Five courses, 5 syllabus, a gazillion deadline. So the best way to incorporate everything into your personal calendar so that you won't miss anything. That's my trick. And that comes from someone who has a 4.0 GPA. So a little tip for you. And then, lastly is just knowing that all of this are all good answers, and what works for you depends on how you manage stress. And that's something that take a little bit of time to figure out. When I'm stressed out, like go into a problem solving mode, would that help me? Or I just need to vent with my friends and just vent about life and how busy life gets. But needing to find that balance and cultivating peace and take care of yourself will actually help you in the long run. So, yeah, these are all good answers, and I hope you learned something from the pop, because this is a great series for you. And now we're gonna pass it back on to Michael.
Thank you, Patrick, for breaking that down and just talking to us about the answers and kind of how to go about juggling too much. I really like to emphasize what you said about prioritization. To all the students out there, like Patrick said, he is a great example of living what he said as a 4.0 student, right? If you want to learn how to do these things and be the best that you can, you got to learn from the people who have done it. Patrick's someone who has done it at a high level. So I really hope you guys took something away from what he said. Dr. Rimty, Justin as well, Tex as well. We're all here to try to help. So I just hope you guys are taking something away from what they're trying to give you all. So thank you for that, Patrick. And we're about to get into part 2 of our video of juggling too much. And after that, Tex is going to lead us in a Google Doc jam.
Now, when it comes to seeking support, many colleges and universities offer a host of resources to support students' mental health, whether it be counseling services, peer support groups, mental health awareness programs, all of which are available to help students navigate challenges. So I kind of want to ask some of our young folks here on the call, if you guys can talk to me about what support looks like at your campus. And I want to really focus on those who are in high school, because I'm curious to know what's happening at El Cerrito. Lucy, can you talk to us about what's going on over there, what supports currently exist for students?
So we have 2 resources, I would say. One of them is more college focused and the other is more mental health focused. We have the College and Career Center, which is just a place to study, and it has counselors who can help you through your academic turmoil. And then we have the James Morehouse Project, which is somewhere you can go when you're feeling anxious or stressed and you just need a place to chill out and just calm down. It's the perfect place to go. I'm very lucky to be going to El Cerrito High. We have James Morehouse Project is amazing. They have counselors, quiet rooms. They have a whole health clinic. We're very lucky to have such a great resource at El Cerrito High.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And let me ask you, Erica, how does resources affect students over at Miraloma High School? Can you talk to me about what's going on there?
Yeah, for sure. I think Mariloma is really excellent in that regard, especially since we don't have a lot of room, like physical space for more resources. But with the space we have a wing for, like Lucy was saying, we have a college and career center as well. We have a lot of counseling offices that you can go in and you can just talk to somebody. But we also have individual calming rooms as well. And then I think another cool thing about my school is that during breaks or lunch, a lot teachers always have their classroom open. A lot of people end up going to classrooms to eat, talk, catch up on anything. And I think that's really important that the teachers show their support that way. They have their doors open. And as well, in specific classes or in specific programs, they also offer forms for feedback or chances to talk one-on-one to teachers if you have any problems. I think that's all really helpful to show that welcoming and show that open attitude towards students who might be going through other things as well.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thanks for that. Both of you, I appreciate that feedback. Let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. So again, when we were talking about therapy and therapeutic options, these are alternatives that are available in addition to some of those resources that we've already heard, right? So I'll talk about a few, but I definitely want to make sure I get Luz in here to give us some really great insight into the clinical perspective. But one example can be cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, which is a widely used therapy that focuses on identifying and changing negative thought patterns and behaviors. It can help students develop coping strategies and challenge irrational beliefs, as well as learn effective problem-solving skills. Another option is mindfulness based stress reduction, also known as MBSR, which combines mindfulness meditation, body awareness, and yoga to help individuals become more present and aware of their own thoughts and emotions. Now, this therapy can teach students to manage stress, improve focus, and cultivate self compassion. And there's a couple more that I'd like to go on and talk about. Another of which is solution focused brief therapy, or SFBT, which is a goal oriented therapy that focuses on finding solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Now, this option helps students identify their strengths, set achievable goals, and develop practical strategies to manage their commitments effectively. And another option is therapy. Now, group therapy specifically. Group therapy actually allows students to connect with others who are facing similar challenges. It provides a supportive environment where they can share experiences, learn from one another, and develop coping strategies together. Now, Luz, as our clinician, can you talk to us about the benefit of some of these options and how it can be advantageous for students to take advantage of them?
Yes, for sure. So, group therapy is great. We know that often in community we do healing, right? And so, hearing other stories, really seeing how other people are putting it into practice can be very, very helpful. Um, I think all therapy is great. I'm a therapist, of course, I'm biased with that, but CBT is great for behavior, right? Changing behavior. If you like worksheets, if that is your thing, CBT is perfect for you. It is standardized. And then solution focused, right, is very much about the goal. It's short term. We often look at like what would the perfect day look like in order to then get to the bottom right, to like what is your goal. We often use that, like what would your perfect day look like, and we really walk you through that. A lot of All the therapies are great. The most important thing is that you have a good connection, right? A good connection with the therapist. If you have a good connection with them, that is really where the change is going to happen, through that connection. So it really just depends on you and what works best for you. If you like some structure, if it's a little bit more loose and able to have just maybe a more free forming conversation, right? Then you would go through a different modality. Um, but overall, right, it's that connection, right? That connection with the therapist is really what is going to guide you and then shift some of those behaviors.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot for that. And I'm hearing you say connection, and in my mind, I'm thinking cultural competency. Making sure that therapists, have the same understanding culturally. So, can you elaborate about the importance and significance of cultural competency when we're talking about therapy or finding a therapist?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's important that you feel comfortable with your therapist, right? So you ask questions. It is okay if the first therapist maybe isn't for you. It's totally okay. There's lots of us, right? So, lots of us to go around. It's important that you find someone that understands, right? Because culturally, what might be going on for you might be different. Um, and that therapist has that curiosity but also that understanding and empathy. So just making sure that you have that feeling that you're comfortable, that you feel that you can be open and honest with them, because really that's where the change is going to happen. And so those are things like, right, it could be something about religion, right? Or pronouns. It depends exactly what you're looking for, but just feeling okay with, if that person isn't for you, then maybe we look for someone else, right? Someone where
Sure.
you feel that feeling with.
That was a very wonderful video. And I just want to acknowledge all the practical solutions the video was able to offer, the different types of therapy. It really delves in deep into how the different types of therapy can help you out in different certain things. So that was a really great video. Next part of the session today, we're gonna hop into a Google Jam, the Google Doc Jam. It's gonna be dropped in the chat. This one really kind of hits home. It's kind of a moment for us to reflect about what we've been talking about today, what we've been hearing today. And the prompt is, have you ever felt like you're doing too much but can't slow down? What's driving that pressure? Expectations, survival, or something else? Essentially, the question is asking, have you ever felt like you're doing too much but can't slow down? And if so, what's behind that? What's the cause of it? Is it pressure to be perfect, expectations from others, survival mode, or something else entirely? So go ahead and drop your thoughts in there. We might read some of them out loud if we have time, but I'd like to give the chance to either Patrick or Dr. Rimty to just come off mute and just kind of expand upon some of the things you're seeing so far that are being dropped into the Google Doc Jam.
Yeah, there's a lot here. People are writing high expectations, my family and friends, um, family. I feel like I'm not good enough, so I do too much and never slow down. I think the person who wrote, I feel like I'm not good enough, so I do too much and never slow down. That was me exactly, I think, 4 years ago when I was not, in fact, like Patrick, like a 4.0 GPA student, and I was on the verge of failing. And I think every single one of us, obviously myself included, has felt that, we're doing too much. We're juggling more than we can handle. And it feels like if we stop, everything is going to fall apart. And that's the pressure we give ourselves. That's what we call internalizing pressure. And now we're not internalizing it out of nothing. There are expectations from school, work, family. They tell you that this is what you're supposed to do. This, everything you're supposed to achieve. Look at that person. They're doing so good. Why can't you do this? And, it feels like no matter what you do, it's not enough. Culturally speaking, especially as someone who, came from a Southeast Asian family, there's always that added weight of being a girl, being a person of color. You have to carry your own future, your family's hopes and sacrifices. So when we keep doing all of these things, we are ignoring what our body can handle clinically. We're going to get into exhaustion. We're going to get into numbness, anxiety, burnout. And it's going to lead to the physical symptoms that you all are talking about: headache, irritability, my stomach aches, trouble sleeping. And, at one point, you're going to be there and realize, you're going to reach that point and realize that this took parts of me that I did not have to give away. I did not have to earn my worth by giving parts of myself away. I did not have to earn my worth by breaking myself. So, this is where you have to understand that, I need to take a step back and I need to do things for myself. And as Patrick said, it's going to look different for everyone. What does doing something for you look like? That is a question that you need to ask yourself and then start doing them. Not as simple, definitely not as simple. Sorry, Patrick, but you just have to start somewhere. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. I think like I love everything that you were saying. And I feel like we could be twins because we're both in medicine and then we both immigrant and we're both Asian American. So there's this thing, especially there's a lot of high expectation or like self expectation or the feeling where you're not good enough. There's something called imposter syndrome, and it's particularly relevant among actually the most excellent, student or workers or what have you. And what imposter syndrome basically means is you feel a sense of not belonging in your setting, even though you are way more than qualified to be in that space. And I feel like in medicine, it's rampant. Like every single person who in medicine, Dr. Rimte can tell you, feel like she doesn't belong, even though she earned her title. And me as a PA now working for 6 years, as a senior PA, even in my setting, I still sometimes feel like I don't belong because I don't know everything. But not knowing everything actually is a good thing. You do not want a practitioner who thinks they know everything, because that's when they start missing stuff, and that's gonna put you in trouble. Imposter syndrome also is relatable to like every single person in this room, because we're people of color. We will go into spaces where we qualify, but other people may make us feel like we're not qualified. And I'm here to tell you, you are qualified just as much as a person who next to you. So you just have to believe it and keep doing what you're good at doing. And if you're not good at what you want to do, then you have to practice so that you can be good at it. And eventually, the imposter syndrome will subside. May not be today, may not be next week, may not be next month, but over time, you will feel confident in your role. Last year, I was promoted as a senior physician associate at UC Davis. And, I am the first one in my department to be promoted. And I'm the youngest at Davis to be promoted at that classification, because nobody below 40s ever reached that rank. And I'm 35. So, but I still had imposter syndrome. So even if you feel like I'm doing everything and I'm working so hard, and for some reason I still don't feel like I belong, hold on to that feeling. As much as stressful as that feeling may be, can be the drive to keep driving you forward to achieve even more than what you have right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rimty, Patrick, for sharing your story. It's definitely very inspiring, and keeping that aspect of just that positive self-talk upon yourself. We'll transition now to the next part of our day today here. We'll have a trivia question, but I'll pass it on to Michael to kind of lead us on our closeout session.
Thank you, Tex. Yeah, so we got our final trivia question. Let's go ahead and get that in the chat. Let's get through that real quick. And then after that, we'll have the sign in. And then before you know it, it'll be time to go ahead and check out. So let's get the trivia question in the chat, please. There it is. Trivia question is up. Who starred as Willy Wonka in the 2023 film Wonka? I actually really enjoyed this movie. I watched it a couple of times. My sisters make fun of me for it, but it's a pretty good movie. I like it. I believe Amina is going to be the winner again. Wow, that's 2 today, Amina. Congrats to you. But thank you guys for Joel said the OG is the best. That was good too, Joel, for sure. Thank you guys for participating in that, though. Let's go ahead and get the sign in the chat as well, so we can get you guys out of here on time. Please sign in. Do not leave before you sign in. Remember that the survey previously is also tied into your stipend as well, so make sure that you had gotten that. Thank you guys. Sign in. While you guys are signing in, I'm just going to have a last minute comment to the high schoolers out there. I believe Patrick said it earlier. There's going to be a time where you might not be able to really choose to not juggle what you have to juggle, right? Patrick, Dr. Rimty, Justin, Tex, they all have real lives going on right now, got to provide for themselves. That time is going to come. So to you high schoolers out there, what I really inspire you all to do, what I encourage you all to do is to really think, what is it that you're here on this earth to do? What are your desires? What are your beliefs? What is it that you want to do? It's your life. So if you can if you can take time to think about that, it makes it much easier to make decisions down the line, so that you don't feel like you're juggling too much, right? You can connect it back to your moral compass. Is this something that I believe in? Is this something that I feel like I should do? Is it not? So I just want you guys to kind of think on that and really, just try it out and see if it works for you. Because there's going to be a time, like Patrick said, where unfortunately life is getting life and you don't really have a choice sometimes in the future. I see people were saying that there's not a survey. We just had it placed in the chat again. Please pay attention to the chat when we place things in there so that you guys can get off on time. If you guys have signed in, if you've done your survey, thank you for showing up. We'll see you guys next month for Youth Substance Use Prevention on Wednesday, August 6th at 7 p.m. Thank you guys for being here. Have a great night.